Hello, my dear students. Welcome to Clarity for SEO. Today we will see an important topic with respect to the tariffs that US has imposed on various countries, and we will also see that what is the role of RBI in order to manage its forex reserve. All right, that how RBI has undergone through the forex intervention in order to curb the impact of the tariffs that US has imposed. We know that USA has recently imposed reciprocal tariff. Reciprocal tariff. What do you mean by reciprocal tariff? As the name suggests, reciprocal. Okay. As the name suggests, reciprocal means equally not for all. Based upon various countries, like for China, it has imposed like more than 200% tariff, nearly 245% tariff, right? For India, it has imposed like 626% of tariffs. So it is in the reciprocal based upon the economy or what kind of they have the chemistry, means USA, what kind of trade relation with that particular country is happening with the USA. All right. So these are the things that we will cover. We will also understand in this slide that how it has impacted. First, we will try to understand the tariff, what is tariff all about. Then we will see that how it impacts, how the USA tariff impacts the global economy at large. Then we will try to understand that how it impacted the Indian economy, right? And after that, we will try to understand through this flow diagram that how US tariff impacted the Indian economy, that how the and what about the capital outflows that we are seeing in India, right? Then we will also see the capital outflows impact over there and the forex interventions, that how RBI has intervened. All right. So these are the things we will understand in this series. All right. And we will also see that how RBI's interventions, both the side of the pros and cons of the intervention of RBI with respect to forex management. All right. So let's start the session now. So first of all, I'm talking about the reciprocal tariffs that USA has imposed on various countries. Right now, for India, 26% of reciprocal tariff has been imposed. Okay. But it was there in the hold on position. Means it is hold for next 90 days. But we will find at the same time that baseline tariff of 10% is working as a. All right. So first try to understand what is tariff. So as the name says, tariff, क्या होता है tariff? Tariff means it is a type of taxes. Tariffs are the taxes imposed by the government on its imported goods or services. Means both the categories came, either it is goods or the services like educational services, insurance services, transportation, communication services. What sort of services is there? So it is imposed upon that. That tax is called tariffs. All right. So they are used to protect. Then what is the implication? What is the significance of tariff? Why tariff has been imposed? See, the first point, in order to protect the domestic industries, means USA is actually working towards with an agenda of protectionism, trade protectionism. Okay, protectionism. And it has also highlighted, Mr. Donald Trump also highlighted the concept of meganomics. Make America Great Again nomics. It's a term combination of mega plus economics. So he is working on this with this principle that we need to protect our trades, our domestic industries that is functioning in USA. All right. And at the same time, he wants to isolate the things. Okay. Is this USA wants to isolate the other major economies with respect to trades by imposing the reciprocal tariff over various governments. All right. So the first one we are discussing, in order to protect the domestic industries from foreign competition by making import products expensive, by imposing what? Imposing tariffs, that is taxes. Okay, taxes over the imported goods or services. Tariffs can be specific, a fixed fee per unit, or ad valorem. What is this ad valorem? It is based upon the valuation act. In the context of taxation or duties, ad valorem taxes are levied as a percentage of value of goods or services rather than the fixed amount. Means suppose a country like India is exporting its goods value of 10,000, and we have an ad valorum tax of 10%, then the tax would be like tax levied over these products, these goods or services would be 10% of this 10,000, that is 1,000. Okay, so this is actually it is a percentage of value of goods or services rather than the fixed amount. It is not like that a fixed amount is there, suppose 500 or 1,000. Whether the export is from India is like 20,000, the fixed amount would be 1,000. Okay, it is not that. If the export would be 20%, then the tax levied would be 2,000. If the export would be 1 lakh rupees, okay, then the tax would be like 10% with 10% added, it is rupees 10,000. So it is variable based upon the valuation of the product's value. That what is the value of product that is being exported, right? While they can generate revenue for the government and support the local employment, this country, USA, it is talking about in context of USA, that it is going to generate revenues for the government through taxes, by levying taxes and support the local employment. Obviously, it is going to generate local employment because domestic industry, somewhere it is favoring the domestic industry. And if domestic industry will flourish, then it will generate the employment within that country. They may also lead to higher prices for the consumers and trade tensions between the countries. Why I'm talking about the higher prices for the consumer? Because somewhere it is going to impact the overall system of competitive trade. All right, means there can be a monopolistic uh, uh, monopolistic prices that will float in the US if you will erase out the competitive nature of trade. All right, so that may lead to higher prices for the. This ultimately the burden would lie over the consumers who are consuming the goods and services that is being produced within the country, that is US. Right now, tariffs are the key tools in international trade policies and are often debated in economic and political that we know. So right now, USA has imposed 26% of reciprocal tariff over India, but it is being held for next 90 days. But till then, there is a baseline tariff of 10%. Okay, that is there with all the countries. So what is this baseline tariff? It refers to the standard tariff rate applied to imports. It is a standard rate applied to all sorts of imports, whether it is goods, services, gold jewelry, or anything, right? Pharmaceutical. As of 5th of April 2025, the United States has imposed 10% of ad valorem baseline tariff on all the foreign origin goods. All the foreign goods. Means other than USA, whatever goods or services are being produced, USA has imposed a baseline tariff of 10% over the imports. All right. So this is a catcher that you can remember. Now coming to the next slide, what is the impact of tariff imposed by US over the global economy? That how this tariff is going to impact the global economy at large. The first one, obviously, disruption of global trade flows. It is going to disrupt the system, disrupt the flows. All right, that we can also see in terms of like tariff war with China. Means China in retaliation is imposing some certain amount of tariffs of the US goods that is being exported from the US in the China, and again USA is imposing at higher rate of interest over the Chinese. All right, for the imports. Second one is retaliated trade that we are talking. In retaliation, the various countries can impose the counter tariff, right? The third one is increased cost for consumers and businesses, because we are eroding the competitiveness in the goods and services that is there in the flow, in the trade. All right. So ultimately, the burden over the consumers and businesses will increase because somewhere we are promoting the domestic industries located in that particular country, which is imposing tariffs to other countries, right? Fourth point, impact on emerging markets. Emerging markets, if I'm talking about the emerging markets, means the smaller markets. All right. They are in an emerging position. Various countries in Africa, in India also, you can say that in the dynamics of economy, dynamics with respect to economy in India is actually changing at an exponential rate. So it is also an emerging market. Okay, means in various fields, in the field of artificial intelligence, in the field of machine learning, in the field of Internet of Things, in the field of blockchain technology, and various other fields, we are like emerging markets. All right. So it is also going to impact the emerging markets, including India, and we are seeing that industries like pharmaceuticals and gems and jewelries, industries of India is going to get impacted after the imposition of 26% of tariffs under the reciprocal tariff mechanism of USA. The fifth point, how it is a shift in investment decisions. So we can see there can be a shift in investment decision. The pattern of investment may shift. Okay. And in this way, we can see that investments shifted and people are more interested to invest in like virtual currencies, stock exchanges. All right. So we can observe mutual funds. We can observe that people are trying to invest in safer side. Okay. So investment pattern actually changes. The sixth point, slow overall, it will lead to the slowdown in global economic growth. So here also you can take the screenshot of this image. All right, that how the global economic impacted by the US tariffs. All right. Now coming to the next point, that how it is going to impact the Indian economy. This image you can also take a screenshot. Right. The first point, it is going to reduce the export competitiveness, means somewhere the export industry is going to get hampered. It will not work in a natural way. All right, because of these tariffs. Second one, sector specific impacts. Various sectors, as I'm talking about, like pharma industries, like gems and jewelry industries, they will be hit most. All right, steel and aluminium manufacturing industries, will also be hit. Right. So sector specific impacts. The third one is impact over the investments. Means somewhere foreign players, they got demotivated to invest in our country. So it is going to impact over the investment as well. All right. Fourth point, disruption in trade balance. Obviously, the trade balance will get disrupted because it has two components, import and export. And if you will see the disruption in trade balance, then we will find out that overall balance of payment will get disrupted. All right. And ultimately, it is going to impact the overall GDP of our country, the overall GNP of our country, the overall like purchasing power capacity of our country. So we can say that the overall economy of our country is going to impact. All right. Fifth point, opportunities through trade diversion is there. Means people will look to the other sector also. Right. Other way to divert its trade means India will look after the other countries where they can sell their products, where they can export their products. So India may look to various Southeast Asian countries, China, African countries, or European Union countries. Okay, means trade diversification so that they can like generate some sort of revenue by after this losses that may be implicated due to this tariff war. Okay, we can also call it tariff war. Now, six, currency and stock market volatility. That we are observing as of now. We are seeing the volatility over the stock exchanges, whether it is New York Stock Exchange or Chinese Stock Exchange, a Japanese or Indian stocks. So we are seeing the volatility in stock exchanges in the last 10 or 12 days. We have marked a huge fluctuation in the stock exchanges. All right. Now, coming to the next slide, that how the US tariffs, okay, it impacts the Indian economy. Let's try to understand with this flow chart. First one, पहला स्टेप क्या है? That USA has imposed the tariffs. It has increased the tariffs over the Indian products, over the products that is being exported from India. What would be the impact? The import in US become costlier. Costlier for whom? For Indian Indian industrialists. All right. Imports in US, and ultimately the price of the commodity, it also get increased. The price of the Indian commodities, it will increase in the USA market. When the price of Indian commodities in the USA will rise, then it is called, this situation is called inflation. So we will observe an increase in US inflation. Means USA, the price of the commodity in USA will increase, and ultimately it will result to inflation in USA. Then what would be the next thing? That US Federal Reserve will intervene in this situation, and if that country will face an inflation type of situation, then obviously what US Fed will do? It will increase the repo rate, the interest rate of its country. Okay, so it will increase the interest rates, and by this, so that the inflation can be controlled. All right, this measures India also do when we are like we hit back by the inflationary pressures. Then we used to increase the interest. So US Federal Reserve will also do the same thing. It will increase the interest rate. But what would be the impact? Capital outflow from India. We will also observe when the interest rate in USA will increase, then we will see the capitals, the big capitals, the foreigners who had invested in our country, that is outflowing from our country. Means in order to get return at higher interest rate, they will try to make investment in USA. Means we will see a capital outflows, and because of this only, we have also noticed recently FPI outflows from our country, and a huge amount of money actually outflowed in the last 4 or 5 months. All right. So they will, the capital outflow we will observe. Then when the capital outflow is there, means what it will, it we can also that say that dollar, the flow of dollar, the volume of dollar is going to get decreased. When the volume of dollar will decrease in our country, in the Indian economy at all, then it will result to rupee depreciation. See how the things are linked. Then in India, we will see the depreciation of Indian currency. Okay, means the value of Indian currency will get depreciated, and when the value get depreciated, then the imports in India become costlier. When imports, because when rupee depreciation is there, means for $1, right now it is around 87. And in case of depreciation, further depreciation, for $1 we need to pay like rupees 95 or 100. Okay, at that very moment, the imports for the commodities that we are importing from other countries, it will become costlier. When things become costlier, then ultimately there will be a situation of inflation in India. Okay, we will see inflation type of situation in India, and then the RBI intervenes, and RBI also intervenes in the same way that RBI actually increases the interest rate. That is the MPC committee, monetary policy committee will came, the role of MPC will came into play, and it will increase the repo rate or the interest rate, and ultimately the same vicious cycle will go through. The interest rate will increase. Okay, then the borrowing for the businesses, retail investors, borrowing cost will increase, and they will get demotivated to invest in different sectors or invest in new startup businesses. Ultimately, the unemployment will increase, and the burden, the fiscal burden over the country will increase. Okay, because government has to serve. Now we have a welfare state in our country, so government has to like invest, put the expenditure for those who are not actually earning properly, either for direct benefit transfers or subsidies. So ultimately, there will, the burden over the central government will increase, and this situation will lead to a fiscal deficit type of situation. So it is a vicious cycle. Okay, it is a vicious cycle, and we will get trapped into this because of this US tariffs. So am I clear with all the concepts that we have dealt with it as of now? All right. Coming to the next part of the slide, how RBI is going to intervene. Okay, how RBI can minimize the impact of tariffs that had been imposed by various countries, including us. So, how RBI can intervene? Where can RBI intervene? Through its Forex reserve, RBI can intervene. And recently we have seen $10 billion, 10 billion, sorry, 10 billion US dollar rupee dollar swap. Rupee dollar swap means RBI actually sold out its dollar from the forex reserve into the market so that the flow of dollar into the market will increase, and by this we can strengthen our Indian rupee. All right. So by this, RBI actually entered through rupee dollar swap mechanism. The second one is inflation target, that RBI can intervene by by cutting down the inflation, because we have understood through this diagram that ultimately inflation in our country will increase because of this tariff war. All right. So RBI will intervene by putting the inflation into the bracket of 4% plus minus 2%. This is the bracket in which RBI has to keep the inflation into check, right? And for this, what RBI will do? What RBI will do? I want each and everyone who are going through this slide, this video, I want each and everyone to just write in the comment section that how RBI can control the inflation, all right, that has been generated due to this tariff. You can write in the comments. Now, coming to the next point, forex intervention. Can you guess? See this image. See, she is telling. Can you guess what she is talking about? What sort of guess she is talking about? Can you guess what kind of forex intervention with RBI have when there is a capital outflows? Okay, what kind of forex intervention with RBI when there is a capital outflows? Capital outflows with respect to FPI outflows, FPI outflows. Is it essential to have a solid for this? In order to answer this question, it is essential to have a solid grasp. Means you should have a proper clarity over the concept, over the fundamentals to answer this question. All right. So I want each and every students to pause the video here and give yourself few seconds, few minutes, and try to answer this question. All right. It would be beneficial, and it is like a brainstorming exercise you can do through these videos as well. All right. Now, let's talk about it. First, let's see what happens when capital outflows occur. क्या होता है? What actually happens when the outflows actually occurs? So he's asking for a dollar. Give me a dollar. This person, this nice gentleman is asking for a dollar. So the first point, capital outflows led to higher demand of US dollars as investors converts their holding from rupees to dollars. Okay, first one. Second, this increased demand of US dollars result in depreciation of rupee. The rupee, the valuation of rupee will get depreciated. It means what? It will result in inflation. During the period of high volatility in foreign exchange market, the RBI intervenes to stabilize the situation by injecting dollars into the market. That we have also understood, and we have seen the rupee dollar swap. By this, RBI had intervened. Fourth point, in the current scenario, the imposition of tariffs may trigger capital outflows, prompting the RBI to step in and ensure the exchange rate stability. What is this exchange rate? The exchange rate is like for $1, how much rupee we are going to pay. So this is the exchange rate, whether it is 86, 87, 84, all right, or whatever. This is exchange rate. This diagram, capital outflows due to tariffs, higher tariffs lead to capital outflow, rupee depreciation. Then the role of RBI we can see. RBI and its functionary is also there in your syllabus. So you can point these, you can add on these points as well in the role of RBI. That are how RBI intervenes during such type of situation. All right, through its various monetary tools. Now, but why there is a possibility of capital outflows due to tariffs? Why? Why there is possibility? क्यों होगा भाई? Why? First one, tariff imposed by the US on imports are likely to increase inflation within the US economy. In response of rising inflation, Fed may increase the interest rate to control the price level, and at higher interest rate in US makes the investment they are more attractive, and this is what the capital outflows from various other countries, from non-US countries to the US, promoting the foreign investors to withdraw capital from Indian markets or other markets in search of better returns, means higher returns that US Fed is providing, is guaranteeing, right? So through this flow also you can understand same thing is written over here. Now, coming to the next slide. RBI is targeting the first one we have seen, the forex intervention, and the second one is inflation target. The forex intervention हमने समझ लिया है. Now let's talk about the inflation target. Another area where RBI can need to intervene is inflation targeting. First one, given India's dependence on the imports, a depreciation of rupee could lead to higher import cost. Okay, when there is a depreciation in rupee, the value of rupee get depreciated. It means what? That we need to pay more for the imported products. In such scenario, RBI might consider raising the repo. RBI is doing the same that USA had done. But the strength of the dollar is so high with comparison to Indian rupee, so we are seeing the capital outflows from our countries. Okay, because dollar is more stabilized currency with respect to global economy, right? So RBI might consider raising the repo rate to control the inflationary pressures. Therefore, these are two areas where the RBI intervention, and we can see the pros and cons over it, that how it is going to affect positively and what are the negative implications. The first, in the pro section, inflation control, raising the repo rate can effectively curb the inflationary pressures for rupee depreciation. But what would be the con? The cost of borrowing for the Indian entrepreneurs, for the Indian individuals, right? Businessmen, the cost of borrowing will increase. Right now, the repo rate is like 6%. If it will increase to 6.5% or 7%, then the borrowing from the banks will become costlier, because this much we need to pay for as the interest rate. All right. Now, next positive point, economic stability. Obviously, if you will try to control the inflation, means somewhere we are doing good for economic stability. So it stabilizes the economy by managing the inflation and import cost. But what will be the negative implication? It is going to slow down the economic growth in our country, because if the investors will go demotivated to borrow money from the financial institutions, then they are not going to invest. They are not going to bring fresh capital into the various sectors, and ultimately it will lead to unemployment, poverty, and this will lead to like a situation like slowdown in economic growth. So RBI has two functions. Actually, if you will read out the definition of RBI, then you will find out that it has two functions. The first one is maintaining the economic growth in our country, economic growth, and the second one is fiscal stability. Fiscal stability, right? So RBI has to take its decisions in such a way that both the purpose would be made simultaneously. that it need to maintain the economic growth along with the stability of our finance, right? So this is the things, and here is one practice question over here. Just go through this question, and I want each and everyone who had gone through this session, if you like this session, then just hit the like button and subscribe our platform C4S courses. All right. And in order to get daily updates with respect to current affairs, just visit C4S courses. Here I'm writing out C4S courses.in, and there you will find a column of current affairs. Just current affairs, just hit this column, current affairs, and you will find that daily current affairs over here. All right. Daily current affairs over here, and just go through the articles, just go through the blog section as well in order to get such type of updates. All right, so thank you very much, my dear students. Bye bye, take care, see you soon in the next video. Thank you.